Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. The Saskatchewan Health Authority has announced that the 3 security guards who were involved in the eviction of an Indigenous man at a hospital in Prince Albert last week have all been barred from working at the hospital or any other SHA facility. The Saskatchewan Health Authority says it has completed its review from the December 11th incident at the Victoria Hospital in Prince Albert. The authority says their review has determined that the actions taken by the contracted security guards, quote, did not meet its health authority standards or align with its values and philosophy of care. SHA says it is now working closely with another security company to ensure adherence to SHA's operational standards. The authority also said they met with the Prince Albert Grand Council to incorporate First Nation perspectives in their response. In a statement, SHA added, the Saskatchewan Health Authority acknowledges the impact this incident has had on trust and safety for Indigenous patients and unequivocally condemns racism in all forms, including Indigenous-specific racism. To strengthen cultural safety and support, SHA will collaborate with the PAGC to implement an Indigenous patient liaison within the emergency department at the Prince Albert Victoria Hospital. The Health Authority said it will continue to work with the Grand Council and other community partners to strengthen its connections with community-based organizations and support people in the community. Garda World Security, the company who employs the 3 guards, says the incident does not reflect their established practices in providing security in healthcare settings. They said they take the matter seriously and recognize the concerns raised. They did not say if the 3 security guards are still employed by Garda World. After long-standing grievances and historic wrongs, the Smith Cree Nation in Saskatchewan will be receiving a settlement package worth hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government. The feds are calling the settlement a fair compensation that advances reconciliation and strengthens relationships with First Nations. The Smith Cree Nation says Canada has agreed to pay 3 First Nations under James Smith a total of $713.8 million in a recent settlement claim. The 3 First Nations are James Smith, Peter Chapman, and Chakaste Payson. Through the settlement process, the federal government admitted the amalgamation of the 3 First Nations in 1902 was wrong. They also agreed that the surrender and sale of Peter Chapman and Chakaste Payson lands were invalid and led to treaty land entitlement shortfalls. In a written statement, James Smith Chief Kirby Constant said, today marks a historic step forward for our people. For generations, the James Smith Cree Nation has carried the weight of unfulfilled promises, broken agreements, and the lasting impacts of forced amalgamation. The settlement is not the end of our journey, but it is important recognition of those wrongs and a foundation for renewal. Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations Rebecca Alty also said Canada's broken promises and wrongful actions towards the 3 First Nations created long-standing challenges that the communities carried for generations. She said the settlement is about the government taking responsibility and setting things right. More than 5 years have passed since Megan Gallagher was last seen. Today, sentencing submissions were heard at the Court of King's Bench in Saskatoon for the final person accused in her death. Roderick Sutherland was convicted of manslaughter, unlawful confinement, and indignity to human remains in October in connection with the killing of Gallagher. He is the last of 9 people convicted in her death. Gallagher was last seen in September of 2020 in Saskatoon. Her remains were found 2 years later along the South Saskatchewan River near St. Louis. Today, Justice John Morrell heard submissions from the Crown and defense before deciding which trial testimonies he would and would not consider. Sentencing is scheduled for April 13th. Megan's father, Brian Gallagher, says victims' families are not considered when court dates are set.
The length of time, that'll be 5.5 years. So if, that's one point about it, but there's no, I know they can't take into consideration, but we have 3 birthdays within a week of that, one of them being Megan's. Megan's birthday was April 9th. We have to prepare victim impact statements now, and given what's happened in the past with our victim impact statements and the stuff that we put into them, I'm not sure it's worth even doing anymore. They're not heard.
Nunavut MP Lori Idlut is calling on the federal government to take immediate action on Nunavut's hunger crisis by expediting an investigation into the cost of food and the effectiveness of the Nutrition North program. Justin Hardy has the details.
Nutrition North is a program intended to help make nutritious food and some essential items more affordable and accessible. Last year, the federal government announced an external review into the program, which will report back on the effectiveness of Nutrition North in 2026. The program is overseen by the Ministry of Northern and Arctic Affairs under Minister Rebecca Chartrand. Nunavut MP Lori Idlut is urging Chartrand to have the review expedited, saying in a letter to the minister, quote, "The rate of hunger in Nunavut should be a national embarrassment. The cost of food is out of control. Today, 42% of Inuit children arrive at school hungry, more than anywhere else in Canada. I hear from single mothers who survive on less than $1,100 a month, nowhere near enough to feed their children. The hunger crisis grows worse by the week." Along with speeding up the review, Idlut is also calling for the minister to have an interim report prepared that includes recommendations for action and an investigation into price increases. So far, Minister Chartrand has not provided comment. Justin Hardy, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
A 3-day gathering for residential school survivors wrapped up in Ottawa on Thursday. This December marks the 10th anniversary of the release of the final report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Speakers at the event included TRC co-chairs Wilton Littlechild and Mary Wilson. There were also a number of tributes to TRC Chair Murray Sinclair, who passed away last year. Governor General Mary Simon was one of the keynote speakers at the event. Littlechild said he was initially hesitant to accept the role of TRC co-chair because of the painful past it would force him to revisit.
But when I look back 10 years, I'm so thankful and grateful that I had this blessing of hearing over 7,000 of the most horrific abuse cases you'll ever hear. I won't repeat them, but you know them yourself. You live them.
An Anishinaabe community in Quebec now has access to electricity. That story and more still to come. Welcome back. After 50 years of waiting, the Anishinaabe community of Kitsakic finally has access to electricity. It's one of the last communities to be without power. Costing $35 million, nearly 2,000 poles were installed over 70 kilometers to serve the community, located southeast of Val d'Or in northwestern Quebec. Stephanie Ducev was at the celebration.
At the age of 73, Louisa Papati has learned something new: how to use a smart thermostat. Her house is now equipped with 5 heaters.
Louisa, tu viens-tu signer un contrat? Moi, j'ai un contrat, j'ai compris ici, je vais travailler.
C'était pas pour faire travailler.
Non, c'est un contrat de ça, là.
Louisa is reminiscing about the Hydro-Quebec contract she co-signed back in 2022. A signing that finally happened after many unsuccessful attempts that stretch back decades. Bringing electricity to her community of Kitsakic is something that even her father would have liked to see happen in his lifetime. During the Connection celebration, Indigenous Service Minister Mandy Golmasti mentioned that this co-development will have a major impact.
On peut vraiment amener quelque chose de spécial dans la région, pas juste pour atteindre une meilleure qualité de vie, mais de vraiment changer la réalité pour les jeunes qui restent ici dans la région, dans la communauté.
Everyone celebrated the connection.
Ce moment historique sera gravé dans le cœur de ses habitants, du plus jeune au plus âgé. Il restera également imprégné dans la mémoire de cette collectivité qui a tant espéré son arrivée.
The elder of the council, 67-year-old Catherine Anishinaapeho, joked about finally getting a good night's sleep.
Je me suis dit cette nuit que c'est mon cœur que j'attends battre après tant d'années de sommeil. C'est mon cœur à cette heure que j'attends. Ce ne sera plus ma génératrice.
Catherine hears the sound of her generator, even though it is no longer running. She remembered how she used to create light.
On appelle ça des plats en fer avec du linge tissé. Puis qu'on mettait de l'huile ou bien qu'on mettait de la graisse, puis on s'allumait avec ça. Je l'ai connu quand j'étais petite.
J'ai pas encore les draps chez nous. Je marche encore au bois de chauffage. Mais ouais, en gros, ouais. Tu sais, c'est ainsi, je pensais.
Hydro will be connected at Tara Penozway's place soon.
J'ai regardé mon père faire son bois de chauffage. Puis, là, je pense toujours à ça. Ça va faciliter la vie des gens parce que ça n'a vraiment pas été facile pour mon père.
Of the 90 houses in the community, about 10 did not meet the standards for connection. So firewood will continue to be used in those homes. But concerns over upkeeping generators in most of the community will soon be a thing of the past.
On est une génération de génératrices, donc on doit toujours regarder, il faut aller mettre du gaz, il faut aller rentrer du bois, ces affaires-là. Ça, c'est toutes des choses qu'on fait de façon automatique, OK? Parce qu'on est en mode survie, OK?
Former Chief Jimmy Papati says that this will also mean big monthly savings, since he was spending $50 a day on gas despite a discount at the pump. It remains to be seen whether the electricity bill will be less expensive. But Papati is thankful for the arrival of what he calls the electric messiah, which brings much more than just electricity.
Pour nous, recevoir un cadeau comme ça, c'est on va commencer à vivre, puis commencer à penser à l'avenir, puis faire des projets. Puis,
allez-y dans vos projets, vous m'en parliez hier.
Ouais, là, on parle des projets ici, on parle de négocier avec le Québec un corridor 117, établir des infrastructures là, comme des dépanneurs, stations de gaz, motels, ces choses-là, là, pour faire travailler notre monde.
After highlighting the important contribution of the former CEO of Hydro-Québec, Sophie Brochu, Papati presented a symbolic gift to the new CEO, Claudine Bouchard.
On a des choses bien positives dans la vie.
The convenience electricity brings means Louisa has plans for major purchases.
Le micro-ondes, le congélateur, frigidaire, le poêle.
She would also like to have a washer and dryer, but for that, she will have to wait for the messiah of running water. But no one knows when that will happen. Stéphanie Desèvres, APTN National News, Kitsakic in Quebec.
Creating clear pathways out of homelessness and into housing is the aim of Thunder Bay's temporary shelter village. The village is part of the city's response to the growing number of encampments. The latest stats show the vast majority of people experiencing homelessness are Indigenous, prompting providers to take a closer look at how services are delivered. APTN's Mike McDonald reports.
The City of Thunder Bay recently hosted an open house for residents wanting to know more about the temporary shelter village ahead of its construction. Site preparation is underway, and construction could be completed in spring 2026, though there are no firm timelines. The city's encampment response lead says the village will be made up of individual standalone shelter spaces.
The village is an 80-unit mini shelters that have lockable doors, climate controlled, and somewhere for people to return to every night. It's the same site for them, and it's supported, serviced. There's an operator on site, staffing 24/7, and folks are there to make a difference, make a change in their life.
According to the latest point-in-time count, 78% of people experiencing homelessness in Thunder Bay are Indigenous, a factor the city and the shelter operator are taking into account.
Throughout the project, we've been in discussions with Indigenous partners. We have some letters of support that have been written by a few different orgs in town. The operator will be responsible for making sure that there is cultural components in the project, and they'll definitely be making sure they do that.
In response to local homelessness stats, Thunder Bay's District Social Services Administration Board is also in the process of creating an Indigenous advisory table in order to better meet the needs of service recipients.
The stats for homelessness certainly shone a light on the need in the Indigenous community, certainly when it came to shelter and housing. So all of that coming together really made a clear path towards getting deeper engagement, a more formalized structure for involvement and advice, and to take that forward. We're still in the recruitment stage. We've got a couple more weeks left, so we haven't finalized what that table will look like yet, but we've got great hopes for how that's going to advance the organization.
Though not directly involved in how the temporary shelter village will be run day to day, Ranta says the DSAB oversees the overall homelessness service system, and it is preparing for increases in shelter use. There are now 236 shelter spaces in Thunder Bay, up from 191 just last month.
We have grown emergency shelter spaces. We've actually engaged more partners in the delivery of emergency shelter because of that need and that demand. Having people present more frequently over the last number of years has caused us to respond to that. We are now looking proactively and making plans, now that we're in the winter here, to say, if we hit this threshold, then let's have something enacted so that we never run short and we have partners that can deliver expanded services.
Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
Time for one last break, and then we'll continue our 12 Days of Christmas language series. Stick around. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Richard from Lac Brochet wanted to share this winter wonderland and wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And we want to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas. Thanks, Richard. You can send us your holiday pictures to share@aptn.ca, and then tune in each day next week to see if you're featured as our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, +3 with the sun out for Charlottetown and Halifax. -15 for Kuujjuaq, 6 with flurries for Cartwright. -5 in Montreal, 11 below for Chibougamau. -2 in Sault Ste. Marie, cloudy and 4 below for Ottawa. -6 for Thunder Bay, sunny and 11 below for Sioux Lookout. -19 for God's Lake and the Paw, 20 below in Norway House. -17 for Winnipeg, 18 below for Dauphin. -20 in Regina, 21 below for Saskatoon. -21 in Meadow Lake, 19 below for La Ronge. In northern Alberta, -22 for Fort McMurray and Grand Prairie. 20 below for Edmonton, sunny and +3 for Lethbridge. 6 in Vancouver, 8 for Victoria. -11 for Prince George, 28 below for Dease Lake. -32 for Dawson, Mayo, and Whitehorse. -25 in Yellowknife, 20 below for Norman Wells. -26 in Sax Harbor, 30 below in Pawlatuck. -25 in Chesterfield, 27 below for Whale Cove.
minus 27 in Resolute, minus 23 in Iqaluit. It's time for our Christmas language segment. It's APTN National News' version of the 12 Days of Christmas. And as today marks 2 more APTN workdays left after today until we're all on holidays, we take you to the north now for some Gwich'in dialect from Agnes Mitchell and her apprentice, Jesse McLeod.
Yaishalakat Agnes Mitchell Vilji. I am a Gwich'in from Kitsakic. I think of the words my grandmother would say, my didu. Taldraginhi means night of the midnight mass. After that, I hear Taldraginhi Gwindo. Taldraginhi Gwindo. Season of Christmas. Happy New Year would be Hai Kitsakic, shaking hands, saying, Happy New Year. Nihle Onochi. Nihle
Onochi.
Jesse has said the Christmas greeting.
She's testing you now.
Okay.
Taz trigihi jit at haik agit gwindo. Sakshok ohle at guizi idik anotie.
That's during the Christmas and New Year season. Be happy and take care of yourselves.
It's really important to be learning the language, not only for the transmission of knowledge, because our culture is inherently tied into our languages, but also to build those relationships. One of the things I've really noticed working with our language speakers is how much light and happiness comes to them when they're able to speak with a young person.
In our community, there's always, it was a big thing where people would all contribute cooking. They have the best was for that day, for Christmas Day. And I always remember people just being so happy. Even the snow was shining outside, glittering.
Thanks so much to Agnes and Jesse there. It's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Friday, December 19th. You can always stay up to date with the latest by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. And don't forget to join us back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for APTN National News Weekend. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy Miigwech, thanks for being with us. Stick around. Kim is up next. Have a great night.